Hello everyone, this is Ian Schaefer here with UDA Technologies, and we are just about ready to start in today with our Estimating and Financials webinar. Of course, we're taking a look at, again, a lot of the new Construction Online interface, still part of the sneak peek, and we're going to be doing a little bit of light comparison with the estimating on the classic view for Construction Online. The bright part is, so much of the new navigation is available for the estimating that we won't have to go back to this classic view very often. Now, again, as always, we're going to take just a couple of minutes to make sure that everybody's able to get into the system and see everything that we're going to be hosting for the webinar. I also have my colleague Jordan here with me today. Jordan, one of our top sales consultants. He's going to be working with us, and it's going to be the two of us answering questions today. So we're going to try to keep an eye on those questions panel to make sure that you guys are able to get these things fielded as they come in, or perhaps holding on to those questions until the end. Now, to kind of facilitate the questions part, because we love seeing the questions and we love it when you guys interact, we're going to take a couple of moments, and in those moments that we're going to be using to get everybody into the webinar, I'd like it if you guys just take a look at the GoToWebinar panel. Find the area on there marked questions. Some of you guys have already found it. But find the area on there marked questions and tell us a little bit about yourselves, your company, your position with the company, and like what kind of construction you guys do, and most importantly, what you hope to see in the webinar today. Now again, this is a sneak peek. We're kind of previewing some of the new features that we're going to be releasing within the next few weeks or months, or whenever we officially release Construction Online, the new navigation for it at least. But again, just let us know what you guys are looking for, and we're going to pause the webinar for just a couple of moments, and we'll be back again in just a few. All right, everyone, thanks for your patience. Once again, this is Ian Schaefer here with UDA Technologies, and I've got my colleague Jordan Davis. He's one of our senior sales consultants here at UDA, and today we're going to be taking you guys through some of the estimating and financials that we're going to be providing in the new Construction Online interface. Now again, this is sneak peek, I guess, episode 3 for the series for Construction Online. We've already kind of given you guys the rough overview or the broad look at Construction Online's new navigation. On Monday, we focused in a little bit more on scheduling and calendars and how those are going to be interactive with the new navigation. Today, we're focusing on the estimating and financials. And again, on Friday, a couple of days from now, we're going to be taking a look at some of the specific details for project tracking, I believe.
And communications.
Yeah. So daily logs, project logging, RFIs, submittals, transmittals, a good blend of residential and commercial work. And just looking through the list of you guys who are in attendance today, once again, super happy to see so many of you guys have decided to join us today. It's always great to see that. I've also, just looking through, I recognize a lot of names, which I love. Although somewhere intermingled in here, I think some of my colleagues are joining us today. I see Melanie in there. Maybe a couple of extras, which is great too. I love it when everybody's going to be on the same page for this. And as we're going through and taking a look at some of the extra things too, some of the feedback that you guys have already provided, I think is a great first step. It's already looking like you guys are really excited to take a look at some of the new estimating features, how these are going to tie into some of the financials. We're only going to take a brief look at how we're going to be integrating with accounting systems today as well, but we'll touch on that at least briefly. And as we kind of expand out beyond this, do keep an eye on those questions panel. If you guys have anything extra that you'd like me to touch on, or Jordan for that matter, chime in. Let us know. It'll just be the two of us today. We don't have anybody working the questions with us, so please be patient with us as we run. You guys usually have a lot of questions, which I love. Might take me a little bit of time to follow through and work with those too. But ultimately, let's get started. Now, before I dive into anything, Jordan, why don't you talk to us for a brief moment about how important the estimating features or the financial features are. Like, how many of our customers use good structured or well-structured estimates? Who's going to be impacted by change orders? What are we really looking at for the scope of our client base here with some of these features today?
Overwhelming majority. I feel like most of the time when you ask me the question, how many of our clients are using X feature? It's a good mix, but honestly, my exposure to the clients I've worked with, incoming, new users, pretty much everyone at some point or another gravitates towards the estimating and project financials features in Construction Online, whether that is directly building out estimates, bringing in their own estimates and really making it work for them in the platform, or as you were saying, tracking and managing their change orders. So really, I would say probably 99% of the clients I've worked with at some point or another make their way to the estimating and financial tools here in Construction Online.
Good. Well, along those lines too, we'll go ahead and dive in and take a look. I was just looking through, again, some of the questions that we have. It does look like it's going to be a solid mix of residential and commercial, so we'll try to keep it kind of broad, although I do have a lot of this information set up for us here in the Canberra residence. So just from work that I've done with our existing customers, it just so happens we've got a residential job here. All of these things that we're taking a look at today, though, apply both on the residential side and the commercial side. We've still got probably about a 60-40 blend of residential to commercial contractors if people had to separate themselves out into one or another. But I find that most of us, just like anything that we've done in life, we like to go out there and grab every opportunity that comes along, and a lot of those times it means we're doing both. Residential work, commercial work, maybe we're doing a little bit of government contracts from time to time. But again, as we look, we're going to be touching on all these features, all these tools. Now, as just a quick refresher here for Construction Online. Here we have the Construction Online main interface. When we've logged in, we're in my Construction Online account, Schaefer Brothers Construction, logged in as myself, looking at one of these projects, the Canberra residence. And I've actually pulled up the estimate for that Canberra residence here. And for those of you guys who haven't taken a look at it yet, shame on you. but within the estimating system here on Construction Online, of course, when you're in a project and you go to the estimating section, it gives you this detailed breakdown for everything that we have for the estimate itself. Everything is going to be broken out with categories and various different items or subcategories within them. We've got prices, quantities, costs, base costs. There's a lot of content, resources, markups, and so on. You'll also notice over on the right, we have a couple of different views. The two primary, contract generation, where we're putting everything together for the estimate, drawing it up for the first time. Job costing is going to be split into budgeting, or how much did we estimate, how much did we spend, did we buy out various different subcontracted sections for less than we thought we would, and if so, we can go into and make adjustments using the adjustments column to come up with a new estimated cost that we could then compare for actual costs and committed costs and so on. There's also the invoicing view, which is how much are we charging our customer, how much have they paid, what's left on the contract. All of this information is going to be accessible here. We also have a tab for selections, for change orders, for estimate templates, and then some of the reports. Now this is, again, in Construction Online Classic, this has always been a popular collection of features. Everybody needs estimates. Most of us are going to work with change orders at some point, even if they're simple change orders. Like customer decides that they want to change a paint color when we haven't even started painting yet. Changes the scope, might not have a cost impact, but still could be a change order that we want to make sure gets approved so that we have documentation for it. Again, all of this is going to be available through Construction Online. It is in your current Construction Online Classic view. When we switch over to the new view, or the new navigation for Construction Online, you'll notice some important, even if they're subtle, changes to how the information is organized. Now first, as before, just as a kind of reminder, this is the new Construction Online interface. Now with the new navigation for Construction Online, over on the left-hand side, we do have some company overview tools, top-level features in here that we're looking at. What do we have going on for the entire company on the company calendar? What's on our task list for everyone? What kind of financials are we looking at for the company as a whole? Really, where do we stand? How is the company doing? All of this is going to be available up at the top in the non-job specific views. When you actually start drilling down into specific projects down here, you'll be able to, again, just select one of the jobs and it'll give you this wonderful new interface where you can see all of those major feature groupings up at the top in the way that most of us think of them anyway. All of these things are going to be at the top. You pick the one you want to work on, and then it gives you, again, a little bit more of a breakdown over here on the left. So you're looking at the project view, the breakdown for our financials, and then the specific section that we chose. Again, we're looking for this simplified navigation where you're always going from big on the left, filtering it down a little bit as you go farther and farther to the right so that you've got a more clear idea. Now again, with Construction Online, with the estimating especially, there is one big important piece on this page that we're looking at, and it happens to be the estimate. So again, if we need to collapse down some of the extra information or go to full screen, these are of course going to be options available to us as we're working. And the effort here is to hide some of the sections that provide supplemental information to the estimate. And sometimes we don't need those, so we can just hide them so we can focus on the estimate itself. Now, some of the things that you'll notice about the new estimating interface with Construction Online. The new estimating interface still includes those three same views. We've got a contract generation view, which is this one. There's a lot of information going on with the contract generation. Of course, as we work from left to right, we've still got a lot of the same great fields. We've got the planning category and all the sections within planning. Everything is broken out by classification, or if you guys are using one of the 5-column estimates, classification columns are going to be over on the right, where you see the unit cost here. As you expand around some of these additional features, you've got the names for everything that we're working on. You can enter in descriptions for them, quantity, cost. We still have resources, markups. All of this information is going to be available here in the estimate itself. Where we start to, again, diverge a little bit is how we're presenting this information. So in the previous Construction Online, it was one massive spreadsheet, effectively. With Construction Online's new navigation, this one that we're going to be releasing here in the near future, we separate these out a little bit more graphically so that you guys can actually see major separations between these categories of work. Planning. This is one major section for the job. Planning is contained by these large gray bars, which are, in this case, where we can go to create new categories, new subcategories, or build out the structure that we have available. Now that process is still insanely easy. When you click the button to add something new, it gives you the space to put in your next section, which maybe this is going to be lot costs. And maybe lot costs has a high dollar amount for it, but we could just come over to and add the quantity, put in a dollar amount of, let's say, this is a $70,000 lot. And so on, kind of building out the information from there. If we had inline markups that we needed to apply, same thing as before, just come over here, put in either the percentage or a dollar markup. Maybe you can go through and adjust all these variables. Most of the function for this is going to be the same great functionality that you guys have already learned how to use or take advantage of. We've just made it easier to see those differences between the areas that you're working on. And now when you collapse one of them down, it's not just one extra line on the template. It's actually its own little section, which still gives you that total base cost. So you still get some of the information, some of the detail, but now you can once again focus in a little bit better on what it is that you guys are working with. Now again, just as a reminder, this is all new navigation that we're taking a look at. It is not currently available in the Construction Online Classic that you guys have. If you are switching back and forth between these, once the beta version is released or once the full version is released, you'll have a toggle up here at the top that allows you to switch from Classic to New. You're not going to find this now. I see some of you guys are already looking for it and asking how to get there. You're not going to find it yet because, again, this is all sneak peek. It's not publicly available yet. I'm one of those special insiders. I think Jordan has access to it too, but we're going through and making sure that it's perfect for you guys once you get your hands on it. To that end, we're going to need some of you guys to help out with this too. We're still looking for additional applicants to the beta program. We've already talked to some of you guys about this and added you guys to our lists. If you guys are interested, don't forget to mention something in the webinar, during the webinar itself, about whether or not you guys would like to be part of the beta program, the early access program. We'll get you guys in there too. Now, pulling back, we were taking a look at the estimate modes. From here, we were looking at contract generation. We've got, again, lots of details, notes, descriptions, everything like that. When it comes to the job cost budget, again, click on the job cost budgeting view, and this is where we're looking at how much we thought it was going to cost. This is the estimated cost or the base cost. The resource will carry through. The adjustment column is where you're going to be putting in things like buyouts or discounts or increased costs or something like that. If we find a subcontractor to come in and do framing labor for, let's say, $37,000 instead of $41,900, I can actually just come into and mark the adjusted cost as $37,000, not $370,000, and it'll automatically adjust what we're working on. The new adjusted base cost, which is where we're calculating the actual cost, is going to be here. So when we do plug in actuals or committed costs or anything like that, this is how it calculates across. Adjusted cost minus actual cost gives us the remaining balance, which is ever so slightly to the right here. Now, this sometimes could result in a larger built-in profit. This is great. All of this information is going to be available. You'll be able to see most of it here. And again, this is all for job costing, specifically for tracking your estimated versus actual cost, sometimes with committed costs in there as well. Now, again, all of these columns are going to be available. Very similar to how you guys are working with it now. It's just broken out a little bit better now so that visually you guys can navigate through this estimate in a much faster, easier way. Now, in addition to the job cost budget, of course, we've got the invoicing view as well. Click over to the invoicing view, same as before, except now we're looking at how much did we sign the contract for. We've got a contract price. change orders that might link to some of these items, and then we've got a new total price. Invoiced amounts coming off of that gives us a new balance. Now in this case, most of these invoiced amounts are populated. I actually pulled a lot of these in using the accounting integration options that we have, and we'll talk about those in a couple of minutes too. Because there's a lot of options, and we even have some new ones in here, I believe, with some of the advanced or the enhanced QuickBooks Online integration options, which are going to be going live with the new ConstructionOnline as well. So, again, as we're looking through, all of this information is going to be available. We'll be kind of going through and providing the additional detail and everything like that here as we work through the estimate itself. And when we need to go back to and start navigating through the extra sections or systems, you'll still have the little options here where we can fall out of full screen mode and see once again some of the dashboards, some of the toolbars, some of the additional content. Now again, full screen serves a very important purpose. When we're building something, all of the dashboards don't come into play yet, so they're all hidden until we come back into these big views, these large views, where we're tracking how much we've invoiced our customer. In this case, about 50% across the board. If we go over to the job cost budget view, again, how much of the bills have we paid? Not much. There's still a lot left over as we're going through this. So again, as you guys are looking at some of these dashboard elements, you'll see some of the content in here. A lot of the high-level important information is going to show up here. And then for the summary views over on the right-hand side, again, you've got little breakdowns, cost by type, by classification, by category. All of this different information is going to be available in the estimate summary view over on the right. This is estimates. As most of us know, estimates are kind of a backbone for everything that we work on. I think I've had this one internally. I've been working with UDA Technologies for, as it turns out, about 8 years. I think my year anniversary just came up not too long ago on LinkedIn. But in that time, I have seen companies succeed greatly by creating this repeatable process. It's a very important process in creating an estimate template or collection of templates that work. Now, when you're using those templates and you're applying them to these jobs, that's really what defines these categories, these subcategories, these items. And whenever you're creating a new estimate, make sure you take a look at those options to create your new estimate, maybe from a template or some of these pre-existing tools. You can even set it up so that you guys are creating these with the project that you guys are creating itself. And again, all this information becomes available right here. And as you guys are working through it, you'll be able to take a look at it here. But the estimate is just your projected costs. With this, we're not counting allowances or client selections as part of this yet. Some of you guys may actually factor that into the estimate itself and you don't have choices. Or maybe you work with your customers outside of the system for all the selections and the choices that you guys are working with. But most of that information is going to be available out here. If we move over to the client selections section next, you'll start to see where we expand on some of those features that we've had available in ConstructionOnline as well, and kind of drill into some more of the selection sets themselves. Now at this point too, real quick, Jordan, in all the time that you've been working with our clients, I know selections comes up fairly frequently, especially for remodelers and renovators and things like that. We have something a little bit unique in ConstructionOnline in the selection picker tool. Why don't you talk for just a minute about the selection picker tool, how it works, and how we hope that our builders or maybe their clients are going to be working with the little selection picker tool. But start, if you don't mind, with what it is. I'll go review some of these questions and get caught up real quick.
Sure thing. The selection picker tool is definitely unique to ConstructionOnline. Instead of going in and creating selection choice by hand, which we do have the option available, we've created a special bookmark that you can set up. If you're looking at Ian's screen right now, you can actually see it. It is the second from the right on the bookmarks here. You can go to your favorite supplier or vendor's website, tap that Add Selection button, and start pulling in details and really build a framework for a selection choice. This will save you tons and tons of time. It's a very useful tool. It works. It's very, very intuitive. And this really nice window opens up, lets you kind of fill in some details if you want to kind of tweak the price or the cost, or maybe you want to add in a little markup on the item. It really does save our clients a lot of time. Something really interesting about the selection picker tool is that you can give access, if you would like, to your clients as well to go out and maybe make some selection suggestions that you can then approve yourself, or maybe have a conversation with them. You can let them use the selection picker tool to make some suggestions to you. I found that once people find and add the selection button to their bookmarks, that their processes are greatly, I guess say the efficiency of putting together these selections jumps by an exponential magnitude for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very good point. The intuitive nature of that selection picker tool is huge. Most of our clients, most of our people, most of us, in fact, work with things like, we've all got Facebook for the most part. We've got, we tried the Google Plus thing for a little while too. I still see the icon for that from time to time. Work with a lot of people here who use Pinterest or even LinkedIn does it. We were talking about that one earlier. All of these applications have some kind of a pinning or a pulling or a sharing feature or function. Add selections is a lot like that, except rather than just saying, hey, I saw this interesting thing, you're giving your customers, or you guys are giving your designers or yourselves the ability to go out there and find exactly what you guys want to work with or look for, and pull it into our system to include pictures and maybe spec sheets and prices and content, a link to the page so that you guys can see if it's a sale price or the legitimate price. And if you give this access over to your customers when they're going in here and taking a look at it too, they can add selections using the picker tool. The beauty of that is it doesn't automatically update. You guys still have the ability to go in and approve those selections so you can look at them and make sure that it looks right. You don't have to worry about customers going in and picking something that was on a flash sale for 99% off one day or something like that and assume that we can get it all that time. No, we don't have to worry about anything like that. You guys still have final approval rights, and as you're going through and looking at these things, you'll see most of the information here as well. Now, on the selection sets, as we're looking through this, of course, with most of these selection sets, you guys will have the ability to go into and create selection categories. Major headings, I've seen a large variety to these. Sometimes it might be by trade. We might have all of the selections for electrical, like lighting fixtures and cover plates, whatever it is, indoor lighting, outdoor lighting, whatever, under cabinet lighting. There's all sorts of things that I've seen in here. We might have them organized by room instead. Maybe it's all the things that are going to happen in the kitchen, or in my case, in the master bathroom, and all the selections that might show up there. Each selection subcategory are the individual choices that we have to make. I get one shower head for my master bath. What is that shower head going to look like? So here you can go through and see a little bit more detail. And again, as we break up this information, much like we do it on the estimating page in the new Construction Online, our focus here has been making it a lot easier to kind of pick apart this detail. We've taken away some of the spreadsheet style views. We still have some of them in here. Some of us love spreadsheets. Me, I'm a numbers guy. I love this kind of stuff. Is it easy to explain or pitch when we're doing a sales presentation? Not so much. Maybe it's a little bit more difficult, but this makes it extremely visual, extremely intuitive, and most importantly, extremely easy to spot that approve for client button. This is what we want to use. We want to have these approval options very obvious so that as we're working through it, this helps us do business instead of requires that we work harder to do business. That's a big part of what we're doing with this new navigation. We're making it easy for everybody to work with these things. And as you work your way through it, you'll be able to make adjustments, reorganize things, delete some of the options. We've got a couple of questions in here about deleting selections. As you go through and work with these, you can either create new ones or delete the existing ones. And most of it is just a matter of clicking on the item that you don't want anymore, and then use the delete option or the update option or whatever it might be. So again, all of these adding to, deleting from, all of these things kind of supplement together. It also comes back to the estimate itself. If we go back over to the estimating page, on the estimate, there's going to be a selection or a section down at the bottom of the estimate itself that actually gives us an overview for all the selections that we're making. In this case, it's even up at the top. The purple section for the selections. If we scroll down to the bottom of the estimate itself, we're going to see adjustments from selections. Let's move the toolbar out of the way and scroll over a little. Yep, so there's our selections adjustment. And then, of course, I think a few of these questions have come through as well. We also have a section here at the bottom of the estimate itself for company overhead and margin. This is going to be your overhead percentage, your margin, all of that information is going to be available here as well. We're in the contract generation view, so it gives us the space to put in percentages, dollar markups. Again, very similar to some of the tools and the resources that we've made available in Construction Online's classic view. In this case, we've just set aside the section at the bottom for this in Construction Online. Now you'll also notice that this Construction Online navigation is going to have, new view is going to have some additional sections for actual costs. Now again, we've been putting together estimated costs and allowances. When you start to deal with the financials themselves and you go to the accounting integration section, you'll start to see options in there to connect to QuickBooks Online, Xero, QuickBooks Desktop through Socket. All of this information is available once you guys connect. And as you guys kind of navigate through this information from the accounting integration, you'll see all of those options. You'll be able to verify the accounting connections and everything like that. Now, I don't have my account connected to any of them currently. To make that connection, I've actually got the additional accounting configuration options open on an extra tab here. We'll close these out as we go. But from the company overview or from your own profile, I'm the administrator and the owner of the company itself, obviously, Schaefer Brothers Construction, Ian Schaefer. As we're going through, we can actually make that connection here. When you go to edit the profile, there's an integrations tab. From the integrations tab, we still have all these excellent options for connecting to Dropbox, to Google Drive, to Google Calendar, OneDrive, Box.net, whatever it is. There's also an accounting tab here that gives you the options to connect to QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop through Socket, or to Xero if you guys happen to prefer a more lightweight online accounting system as well. I love all three options. Socket is a little bit more of the traditional QuickBooks Desktop, which again, I'm the old guy here in the office, so I'm old QuickBooks Pro Advisor. I'm very accustomed to desktop software. But Intuit has been making a huge push for QuickBooks Online. I actually love a lot of what we're seeing with this application. So if you like the QuickBooks Online option, go over to QuickBooks, go to integrate with the QuickBooks Online. You'll now be able to push over estimates, invoices, change orders, we pull back bills. What else are we doing? We're creating or retrieving purchase orders. There's a few additional options. I think we did a webinar on this one not too long ago. And as we go through and go live with all these new features, I hope that you guys are all going to be calling in to look at adopting some of these new features too. So by all means, come in and take a look. Xero functions a lot like QuickBooks Online. You can still create a lot of the content and everything like that. Xero still has customers, and I think they've got customers and jobs at the same level. Theirs is a little more of a flat list for everything. They don't do as many groupings, or they haven't historically. So you've got all your jobs, you've got all the products and services. These are going to be flat lists, and of course the products tie into accounts and all that kind of stuff still works. But again, if you guys are looking for an easier process, this is a perfect place to go. Now again, this is going to allow you to take your estimate information, tab A, I guess this is tab B technically. So you can take all the estimate information, you can push it over to accounting. From the accounting integrations option, you guys can actually take most of this information, turn it into bills or checks or what have you, pull it back into actual costs where you can view this all in job cost budgeting. You can even go through and add additional things in there for invoices that you've sent out to your customers so that you can go use the invoicing view as well. But when those additional charges pop up, sometimes those charges are actually scope changes, and this is where the change orders come into play. Now with those change orders, again, same as before, you can create these from anywhere. If you guys only have your phone app with you, create them through the mobile app. You guys will be able to tie in all this information. You can, at least in theory, link it into your estimate if you want to. I find it's really easy to just put together quick change orders to present to the customer and have them sign off right there on the app itself to approve a change order. But anytime you're creating something new, again, you just come in here, add a new change order, put in the detail for the change order itself. This is my change order number. If I'm working for a GC on the job, this is the GC's change order number. This might be change order 4 for me, but it could be 27 for them. They might have a whole lot going on. Change order name, subtitle for the change order, just the simple description. And we can put in some of the additional detail here as well. Of course, this doesn't necessarily calculate the price. This, the markup and price section, does necessarily calculate the price. So as you're going through, you can put in, depending on the change order, you might have a single lump sum unit cost or a parts or pieces cost, in which case you might put in a unit cost of whatever it is, times a quantity of however many you need, giving you a total cost of your cost for the change order itself. You can add your markups in here, and then it gives you the client price as well. So working your way through this, you'll be able to add in the additional change orders. You can save and notify or just create them. The save and notify option should send an email out or a pop-up notification to your customer so that they'll be aware of everything that's going on. Now again, the idea here is we're making this much easier to read and understand and follow through with. As you are putting these things together, it is important for these things to be read by the right people. And for that, you need to go in and relate those contacts to it as well. Editors would be the people who can go in and change the content of the change orders. Viewers are the people who can see it. Your customer, they all get this information through the ClientLink, the ClientLink portal that you create for them. The editors and viewers in this case might also be things like vendors or subs or whoever might be included. So as we work through that, you can see the additional content there, the additional info. So again, add the people in that apply. The new customer portals and the new TeamLink portals, some of that information is going to apply automatically for them. Customers, if you turn on the change order feature, they'll be able to go into the new system here with the new changes and the new layouts and everything like that and see some of those new options for change orders. But again, it's all going to be settings, just like it was in classic Construction Online. Settings for turning on features in TeamLink or ClientLink and making those things available to them as they go. So again, this is change orders. We've talked a little bit about accounting integration as well. You'll see that accounting integration option here on the job specific section as well. It's a wonderful place to go in and just kind of preview what we're working on right now and who we're connected to and how that thing is connected as well. So if we want to make sure that we're plugged in, come to the accounting integration tab. If you don't see that it's plugged in, plug in here. For most of the information though that you're getting out of those financials, again, it's all well and good to have an estimate on the job. And it's very important to go through and catalog your selections. We want to make sure that we check what selections have been approved by the customer. We want to make sure that those change orders are getting approved as appropriate. All of that information is going to show up here. All of it is also reportable when you come take a look under the financials reports, the financial reports tab. Whew, always a mouthful for me. As we get into and work with these reports though, you'll find pretty much everything that you guys need on the financials side. This is going to include things like estimate versus actuals or profitability reports, which in this case would be something along the lines of estimate versus invoiced amounts, or perhaps we need to send out some purchase orders. I saw one of the questions come through for that earlier. Purchase order reports are going to be in here and available as well. And what I love about this new reports layout is it gives you a preview for every single one of these reports that you guys are looking at here so that you'll understand what you get before you ever click the button and apply any of these filters. So if we're sending out something like an RFQ, a request for quote, it should look something like this, which in this case, if we're looking at it, you'll notice over on the left-hand side, it's giving us a listing of all the items that would be included. Near the middle of the report, we've got the quantities included, and the rest of it's blank. Of course, in this case, because we're requesting quotes from our vendors. So we give them the blank space to fill in so that we can come back and fill it in our estimate once we get it, if we decide to go with this vendor or subcontractor. You'll see other sections in here where we need to pull a materials list, maybe filtered by resource. So we can go through and click on the materials list, and it'll give you all of the different listings in each of the different sections or categories of the estimate with whatever we agreed upon as the price. Now, some of these forms look like they might be a little sideways. These have landscape views, or the report itself has generated landscape. This, again, one of the small adjustments that we're going to be making, I think, in the near future to this layout. But the idea with these reports is they tend to be very detail rich. So if you're looking at something like the estimate notes report, you got a lot of information being conveyed in this report. So landscape tends to fit a little bit better. If you're running the report, though, same as before, tells you what items you have, and you have 3 major notes section. In fact, if we go back, I think this is something that you had mentioned earlier, Jordan. As we're looking through the estimate itself, and we go back to the estimate page, there is a notes section here. When you open up the notes section for any of these lines in the estimate, you'll be able to put in general notes, TeamLink notes, or ClientLink notes. So again, in this case, when you're putting your estimate together, who are we talking to and what do we need to share with them? If it's information for the customer, go to the ClientLink notes section, put it in there. If it's information that we're sharing with our subs or our vendors, TeamLink, it's a perfect fit. And if it's information for just the line item, think maybe scope of work in this case, we can plug that information right under general notes and it's all going to be available right there too. So again, when you put the information in here, save it, go back to the financial reports section and you can generate those reports as well. Now, something that you guys might not know. It's a feature that we actually added to Construction Online 4 to 6 months ago, maybe. I think we did a little bit of a talk about it at the time, but we haven't done enough talking about it yet, in my opinion. It's the ability to actually customize all of these documents and reports after you create them. Every single one of these documents, if we decide to go into and create one of the financial reports right now, let's just say that we're going to do a proposal for our client or a contract summary report. So we generate a contract summary report, and we're going to go through and just pull in some of the details for it. This might not be one of the options available, but let's create one of these reports and see what we get. Now, by default, it's going to pull up this report as a PDF. The PDF is going to be available for you here. As you can see in the report, in the contract summary report, my company information populates on the left. There's a brief little header image that I've added into most of my reports in the top right, and then the content is going to show up here in the middle. I am horrible on the keyboards. I have typos all the time. And so in my case, whenever I'm generating one of these reports, I'm always going through and reviewing this information to see where I have mixed up my numbers, to correct those numbers as they come in. To do that, all I need to do is go up to and click Edit, and now we have effectively a Word document available in the cloud. You've got a simple toolbar up here at the top that gives you some of the major changes that you guys may need to do. Things like standard organizational features, like adjusting fonts and font colors and font size and bold certain things and italicize. You can also click Show Full Toolbar to get a more expanded toolbar option, and it functions or features a lot like Microsoft Word, or we have OnPoint in ConstructionSuite. It gives you a richer collection of features for document management or adjusting just simple things in these. Again, all of this information is already available for any of the reports or the PDFs that you guys have uploaded to Construction Online. If you run a report and you need to go take a look at the pricing information for it, run that report, open it up, rather than send it out immediately or download it and trying to edit it through something else. Just click the edit button in the report menu. Again, it should be right up there at the top, and when you're finished, you can save it and send it out directly from here. You can either send a share link and have them download it on their side. You can download the file yourself and send it out via email attachment, or more importantly, you can save this back into the project itself and just make it available through ClientLink. Again, to answer one of the questions that came up a little earlier, we did see a little bit of information or a request or 5 about how the portals will be impacted by some of these changes. It's a great collection of questions. I'm certainly glad to see that you guys are interested, and we are currently making a few revisions to those ClientLink and TeamLink portals. This is information that's still being modified. I don't have it to show off today, but I expect that we will do another of these sessions covering just those portals in the very near future so that we can see what those look like as well. Now, where were we? We're saving a file into, not my documents, this is going into the Camber residence. Let's put this under contracts because it is a contract summary report. And in my contracts, I'm going to call this, let's just, instead of estimate report, let's just call it contract summary. There it is. So it's going to save in there. And again, all of this then becomes available. We can go back to it at any time, and it's going to be right there in the job whenever we need to go take a look for it. Now at this point, this is going to cover most of what I believe that we have. Before I let you go, though, once again, Jordan, if you don't mind, go ahead and recap. Sorry, not recap. Why don't you talk to them for just a couple of minutes about what we hope to discuss on Friday when we dive into the project tracking webinar. So what are these key features that everybody's going to be using, and how do you think they're going to be working through it? I think we were talking about that earlier, yeah?
Yeah, somewhat. I'm really hoping that we're going to show everyone the project logging features. I'm really excited to show that off. It's a feature that people have adopted over time and has really, in a lot of cases, become a very core functionality of Construction Online to really find out what's happening out on the job site or to leave notes for yourself as you're using the platform. I'm also excited to jump into taking a look at some of the punch list navigation updates, and of course punch lists and to-dos are somewhat similar, so the core functionalities are still there. I'm excited to see and show off what that actually looks like to everybody, to kind of show them what they can look forward to moving forward. We're also I'm hoping that we can kind of show off a little bit of the communication and correspondence tools as well. Things like the request for information, transmittal and submittal features, how you can implement those if you're not already using them, and what you can, look forward to when the platform becomes ready for early access, and then later on the full launch for everyone to start jumping into and playing around with, and moving forward, not just playing, but actually managing and taking control of their business operations.
This is all, again, great content. We will be going over this on Friday, and if we're lucky, we were actually looking at some of the new options or new features for Quick Chat, which is one of the features that's available through the mobile app right now, but doesn't have a home yet in Construction Online. With the Construction Online new navigation, we're starting to design some new layouts to make this information available here as well. So anybody who's using the app out in the field, they've got a quick chat function. It works basically like text messaging does for your phone. But as you guys are working in Construction Online, you'll have a way to tie into the same collection of quick chat features or text message features, so that you here can be texting or chatting with somebody on the job site. And if they have questions, they can just fire those into you, ask you questions through quick chat. You can fire your responses off. You can say, hey, I appreciate the question. Can you send me a short little video kind of describing the problem that you guys are having? They can take the video and attach it right there in quick chat and have that information pop up for you as well. Again, we were talking about that in the meeting this morning, where we were kind of covering some of these features, preparing for this session itself. And fingers crossed, maybe we'll be able to show off some of that, even if it's just in layout form for you guys on Friday too. So come in, take a look. We'll take a look at some of these additional new features. Now, I do still see a huge list of questions. Some of them we've kind of touched on as we work through. Some of them maybe less so. But we're going to be going through and trying to answer some of these questions either now or via email after the webinar itself. Also, don't forget, if you guys do have follow-up questions, you can always give us a call. You can reach us here at most of you hopefully have our 800 number. It's 1-800-700-8321, or you can always email us at info@uda1.com if you guys are interested. Don't forget as well, we are going to be looking for a lot of feedback for the new Construction Online, which means that we need a lot of experienced users in here taking a look at some of these features, feeling out some of the content, but we're looking for new users too. So if you guys are brand new to adopting Construction Online and you guys have some thoughts maybe on how a good project management system goes, one that maybe you're not really accustomed to the UDA platform, like me, it's so hardened or ingrained in my being now that we just have a way of doing things. Sometimes we need those fresh eyes too. So anybody who's interested, make sure that you chat in. I saw a lot of you guys say something earlier, which we appreciate. But for everybody else, go ahead and let us know. Give us an email address or give us something to work with, and we'll be reaching out to you guys shortly. For now, though, this is going to cover most of what we have for you for the Construction Online new navigation, estimating, and financials features. We will be going into a little Q&A session here in just a couple of moments, but for most of you guys who are super thrilled and super excited about what we're showing off right now, and you can't wait to get out there and get working with these things, I highly recommend you take the time between now and new Construction Online being available to set up some of these estimates to make sure that you guys have good information to work with. If you haven't already gone out there, once again, go back to your classic Construction Online accounts. Take a look under the estimating feature over here on the left-hand side and start generating some of these estimates and some estimate templates, and make sure that you have some great content so that when this new classic or the new Construction Online interface comes about, you'll have something great to look at instead of just going back to and watching our webinars and listening to us talk, which are probably great too. We love doing these kind of things. But again, just make sure that you guys have something to work with. For now, though, again, we're going to be stepping into the Q&A session. For those of you who are pretty happy with what we've seen and what we've talked about, I want to thank you again for joining us. Don't forget, Friday, 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. We're going to be taking it at 2 o'clock Mountain. I guess we'll include most of you. I think we even have some people here from Australia and New Zealand too. I'm not that good with the time zones to get that far. I think there's like a 14-hour difference or so. I don't know. But if you guys are interested in joining us, you've got 2 days, 3 o'clock Central. Join us for project tracking, where we talk about some of the great features that are going to be available through Construction Online for field personnel, how they'll use it from maybe a laptop or a tablet in the field, and maybe what's going to shift back and forth between the Construction Online interface and the mobile apps. Of course, mobile is going to be a big part of this too. And the new Construction Online mobile app that you guys have hopefully all downloaded and been using for a while ties into this new navigation beautifully. It's a perfect kind of relationship there between the web and the mobile platforms as well. So again, don't forget to join us there, 3 o'clock Friday. Don't know if I've said that too many times, but make sure that you go there. Otherwise, guys, thanks again for your time. We certainly appreciate it. We're going to switch over to answering questions via keyboard. So thanks again. We'll talk to you real soon. And until then, guys, have a great night. And thanks again. Take care.